The party is over. Everyone is putting on their coats, saying their goodbyes, walking toward the door. And then there's you. Still standing in the hallway. Still talking. Still finding one more thing to say, one more story to start, one more question to ask. The host has already said goodbye 3 times. Your hand is on the doorknob. And still, you don't leave. Or maybe it's a different scene. A relationship ending that should have ended 2 years ago. A job you already quit in your head but never quite quit out loud. A city you said you were moving away from, and somehow you're still there, still explaining to people that you're about to go. You know what the goodbye is. You can see it clearly. You just can't make yourself walk through it. And if you've ever been called clingy for this, or dramatic, or unable to let go, this is for you. Because what's actually happening inside you is not weakness. It's not immaturity. It's something far older than that. Something your nervous system learned before you had words for any of it. And the reason has nothing to do with loving too much, it has to do with a very specific kind of goodbye you never got to finish. There's a specific kind of person who lingers. You've probably met them. Or maybe you are them. The one who, when a gathering ends, doesn't quite register the ending. Everyone else catches the social cue, the slight shift in energy, the host's tired eyes, the moment the room starts to breathe differently. And they leave. But you? You miss that cue, or you catch it and ignore it, because something in you decides, not consciously, not deliberately, that the ending hasn't happened yet. That there's still something more to extract from this moment before it's allowed to close. It's not rudeness. It's not obliviousness. It's that your brain treats endings differently than other people's brains do. And it shows up in more places than parties. You're the person who keeps the text thread going long after the natural stopping point. Who sends one more message after the other person has clearly said goodnight. Who finds a reason to stay on the phone, oh, one more thing, right as the conversation was wrapping up. You're the one who, when a friendship starts to quietly drift, cannot let it drift. You reach. You check in. You send the article you thought they'd like, even though 3 months of silence has already said something you're not ready to hear. And with people who leave, the ones who really leave, you don't move on in the regular sense of the word. You carry them. You replay conversations. You wonder, sometimes years later, if they think about you too. People see this and they call it being too attached. They suggest you work on it, like it's a bad habit. But that framing misses everything. Because the behavior everyone calls clingy, it's actually solving a problem. A very old one. Here's what most people miss about goodbyes. A goodbye is not just a social transaction. It's not just, see you later, or a hug at the door. For your brain, a goodbye is a small death. A version of the world that included this moment, this person, this version of yourself in this context, that version is about to stop existing. And your nervous system feels that. Literally feels it, the way it would feel any kind of loss. For most people, that feeling is quick and manageable. The brain processes the ending, files it, and moves forward. But for some people, the brain doesn't quite let the file close. It holds the moment open. It keeps asking, are you sure? Is this really over? What if you just stayed a little longer? Researchers who study grief and attachment have found something worth sitting with, that for certain people, the anticipation of loss activates the same neurological systems as actual loss. Meaning your brain starts grieving before the goodbye even happens. It starts hurting the moment it sees the end coming. It's like your brain starts bleeding before the cut even happens. It's already in the wound. So you reach for more time. Not because you're desperate or broken. Because your brain is trying to protect you from something it has learned, somewhere, is genuinely dangerous. You send the extra text. Which, in retrospect, never once worked the way you hoped. But hope is not known for learning from data. This didn't start in adulthood. Think about the earliest goodbyes you can remember. Not the ones that went fine. The ones that didn't. Maybe a parent left for work in a way that felt permanent, even though they came back. Maybe someone you loved disappeared without explanation, moved, or drifted, or died, and no one told you what had happened, so you filled the gap with the only explanation a child's mind could build, that I didn't hold on tight enough. Or maybe the goodbyes in your house were the kind that came with anger. Doors slamming. Someone leaving and coming back different. Endings that weren't safe to feel, so you learned to postpone them instead. The nervous system is a pattern-matching machine. It doesn't care how old you are now. When you experience an ending, any ending, it searches its archive for the closest matching moment and asks, what did we do last time? How did we survive this? And if what it finds is chaos, or abandonment, or loss that arrived without warning, it responds the way it learned to respond. It holds on. It delays. It finds any possible reason to stay a little longer at the door, because leaving the door means the thing on the other side of it becomes real. For kids who grew up not knowing if the warmth would stay or disappear, saying goodbye became a gamble. You don't know, somewhere underneath the logic, whether this person will come back. Whether this moment, once gone, will be retrievable. So you stay at the party. You keep the conversation going. Not because you're afraid of being alone. Because you're afraid of being left. There's another layer to this, and it's the one that explains the endings that last for years. Some goodbyes don't happen. They should, but they don't. The relationship that ended without a real conversation. The friendship that faded without anyone naming what was lost. The parent who died with things still unsaid between you. The version of yourself you were supposed to leave behind, the younger, smaller, less knowing version, but couldn't quite let go of, because letting go felt like betrayal. When a goodbye doesn't happen, when an ending arrives without the ritual of an actual ending, the brain doesn't file it. It keeps the case open. It keeps returning to the moment, searching for the closure that never came, turning it over like a stone that might still, somehow, have something under it. This is why some people spend decades thinking about the person who left without explanation. Not because they're weak. Because their brain is still waiting for the conversation that would let it close. The goodbye that never happened becomes the goodbye you carry forever. And here is the quiet, painful irony of it: the people who can't say goodbye are often the people who needed, once, for someone else to not say goodbye to them. Who needed someone to stay, and didn't get it. And who have been, ever since, trying to give other people the thing they never received. You hold on for others because you know what it costs to be let go of. This isn't about learning to leave faster. There's no chapter here about how to say a clean goodbye in 3 easy steps, because that framing is wrong. The goal isn't efficiency. The goal is safety, helping your nervous system understand that an ending is not an erasure. People who gradually become more comfortable with goodbyes don't do it by suppressing what they feel. They do it by having enough experiences of endings that are survivable. Relationships that ended and left them still intact. Goodbyes that happened fully, with acknowledgement and presence, and didn't destroy them. Every ending you survive with your heart still beating is data for your nervous system. It's evidence that the archive was wrong. That this goodbye is not the same as that one. That you can let the moment close and still remain. Some people find this through therapy. Through conversations that finally finish the sentences left incomplete. Through grief that gets witnessed instead of swallowed. Some people find it more slowly, through simply noticing the pattern. Catching the moment they reach for one more message when the thread has already ended. Pausing at the door when the exit is clear. Not forcing themselves out, but asking, gently, what am I afraid will happen if I let this end? The answer, when you listen to it, is almost always something from before. You were not born unable to say goodbye. You learned that endings were unsafe. And so your body built a system for surviving them: hold on, delay, find one more reason to stay, keep the conversation going, and maybe, if you do it right, the ending won't come. That system kept you here. It was never a flaw. But you are older now than the last time someone left without coming back. And the people standing at the door, some of them are coming back. Some of this is survivable. Some of these endings are just the ordinary punctuation of a life still being written. Think of the hand on the doorknob. Still there. Still deciding. Not because you don't know the way out, but because some part of you is still waiting to find out if this time, the leaving will mean something different than it did before. Maybe that's the question worth sitting with. Not how do I let go faster, but what would it mean if this ending turned out to be safe? Some things can close, and still be yours.